So after doing this for a little over a year, I started asking myself, first off, am I a liar? But are other content creators liars? And I figured it was time to figure it out for sure. If you are anything like me, then you watch a lot of different YouTube channels. And usually they're all kind of based around the things that you enjoy, your hobbies, right? And so you probably watch a few different content creators, a few different painters when it comes to painting miniatures or anything Warhammer related. Probably my favorite content creator is a guy named Ninjon. And he does a painting channel, and everything he does I just think is amazing. He's won a bronze in the Golden Demon. Like, he's not just for show. But I was curious if maybe the things that he taught people might be. And so I wanted to test it out. And he has a video called My Favorite Way to Paint No More Slap Chop. And it was his favorite way to paint, and I was curious if maybe it would be my favorite way to paint. So, just like in that video, he paints a miniature. His is actually from a game called Kingdom Death. And I was just sent a box of Maladum. And if you didn't know, Maladum comes with a box of miniatures. Okay, and they're just normal miniatures, but I thought it would be fun to paint one. And so I did. And I did it in the style that Ninjon shows in his video, just to see if it worked or not. The first thing that he said to do was to use a blue ink and paint the miniature from down below. This is to kind of give you shades or shadow colors that aren't necessarily just the black. I primed it black first, just like he did, and then I started with the blue from down below. This is actually not an ink, it's just some paints that I thinned down, but it's acrylic, so same difference. Then he said to hit the middle layer with just a little bit of sepia in the middle, and then from the top, he wanted you to come back through and do your normal zenithal highlight in just white. And so I did that. But then to give it some ambience and to make it look a little different, he said to come back with a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red. So it's kind of like an orangish yellow, right? That I just went over the top and painted with that. And then lastly, he said to hit it again one more time with a bright white and a tiny bit of yellow just on the head and on the shoulders, those parts that are really going to be showing off the sunlight. So that's what I did. And when it dried, this is what it looked like. And right off the bat, I was actually really happy with how this looked. And so I grabbed my colors. I grabbed my paints that I wanted to paint this orc and started painting. And I went with, obviously, the green, even though in the game he's actually red. But I thought, this is my guy, I'm going to do him how I want. And hopefully the people over at Maladum won't mind. But yeah, so I just started hitting with green. He says to use contrast paints. And so I used contrast paints where I had them. The colors I didn't have, I just kind of made them myself with normal paints. And then just adding some medium to them so that they have that see-through factor to them that you want from contrast paints. You want to be able to kind of see through them. And I went to work. I started with the first layer, which was his skin in this case, and then I moved on to the jacket because it's big and I like to tackle the big stuff first. I wasn't sure what to think about this paint job until I started doing the shield. And the shield is probably my favorite part of this whole piece. It was supposed to look like wood, and when I look at it right now, I think, man, that looks like somebody just took the bark off of a tree and threw it on this miniature. And I was just super happy with how that came out. And the funny thing is that it has in the cracks, you know, normally you want darkness in the cracks, but because of the highlighting and things that I did, the cracks actually are a little lighter, and I love how it turned out. So then I moved on to the pants, and this is another spot where I kind of recognized the genius that is Ninjon, because all of the shadow is already there, and it's not just black shadow. It's this nice deep blue shadow, and especially on parts with the jacket, you can see it, and I loved how it turned out. And then it was time to paint the sword, axe, chopping device, whatever you want to call this thing. And I decided to go non-metallic metal as best as I can. I'm still not a pro, and so it definitely could be better, but I was very happy with the dull steel that it came to look like. And in all honesty, I think it looks that way because of the highlights that it got and that I was trying my hardest to do on the top. And then once that was done, I came back and did some edge highlights. And as you can see, I am not great at doing edge highlights, especially with blending them and things like that. But thank goodness with paint, you can go ahead and fix things. And so I came back and I would clean up those areas and just have those highlights where I wanted them. And, you know, overall, the point of doing this was to be fast. It was supposed to be a fast paint job that I looked at when I was done and thought, well, that doesn't look like a fast paint job. And I honestly felt like for me, this was a lot better, especially in that time frame. Like when I sit down, I'm not a great painter yet, right? But I'm trying to be better. And so when I sit down and I try to give my all to a miniature, it usually takes a few hours. And honestly, in this one, it was probably done in under an hour, you know? And so when I looked at it afterwards, I thought, this is awesome. And all of the stuff I did at the beginning with the airbrush and the highlighting and things like that, it is a waste to do that for one miniature. And the whole time I was doing it, I just thought I should have done like 4 or 5 of these at a time, because you got to put a little bit of ink into your airbrush anyway, and so you might as well use it. And so like it just kind of started to develop in my mind as to how this is a great idea for painting multiple miniatures at a time. Because once you get that zenithal, that shading process done, you just brush them and you do the details the way that you want them, and everything is painted. Even if you miss something in the background, it's okay, because it has got some light, it's got some dark, it's got whatever it needs back there, and it works out. So after doing that, I just did the base and finished him off. So no, my favorite content creator is not a liar. He's actually super helpful, and his video is easy to follow, even for somebody like me. So I was very happy to see that. But my question to you, is that always the case? Are the content creators you follow always helpful? Do the things they suggest actually work? And if they do, which one's your favorite? And if they don't, why didn't it work? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious, because I follow a lot of content creators, and I'm really curious if all the things they suggest are as helpful as they make them out to be. I have always tried to be honest in my channel and show you things that I have learned that have just been like mind-blowing to me. And so I'm hopeful that this channel can be that for you. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the best painter, but I'm getting better all the time. Over the last year, I love to look at the models and see just how much better I've become. And hopefully one day I can help you in that process as well. So please like, subscribe, follow the channel. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal here. It is to help you become better at and enjoy your hobby more, whether that's through painting, learning about new games, or just learning about how to play games. So stick around. And as always, thanks for watching today. And make sure that you don't spend so much time making your hobby that you forget to spend a little bit of time in it. Until next time.